I have to make this is my podcast apology to our listeners. Guys, I don't know what happened, but on Instagram, I had it set to all requests. It was set to all requests. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Yeah, I won't be able to show you, but I had it turned on to all requests, and for whatever reason, that wasn't working properly. So when I switched to top requests, then I saw all of your messages. So those of you that sent a message to Instagram like maybe a year or more ago, like that long ago, I have seen them now. So if you go in, you'll probably see that now it will say red. There's so many in here. Like, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why that happened. And it's weird because some of your messages came through like no problem. So I really don't understand why just some of yours like didn't show up. Like, yeah, there's like a couple of these on here that were back from like, I think there was one from like 2022 or something like that. Like, it was like such a long time ago. So I'm so sorry, guys, but I saw them now. I just don't want anyone to think I'm like ignoring you because I'm not. I don't know why that happened, but now it should be okay.
You.
Yeah, we're not ignoring you. But now I know I can like toggle the top requests because like even now when I went in, there was one more that I hadn't seen. That was just someone saying on May 28th. Someone just messaged, finally, I feared you weren't going to continue. Or you guys took forever. I feared you weren't going to continue. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. But yeah, so that's my podcast apology. Sorry, listeners. I don't know why.
Well, it's not a true apology. We'll have to do the whole like video where you like look like you're crying for the thumbnail and like.
Oh my God. Yeah. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Does that look good? It's always a face like that. Yeah. But yeah, so just know you weren't being ignored. I don't know why Meta is dumb with that like request system. I don't know what that is about at all, but
yeah.
Now I know that that's something I need to stay on top of. So.
And now we know. Yeah.
And there also was that thing with
the girlies know I'm not on that Instagram.
Yeah. Not even on your own account.
Nope.
Although you've been haunting there a bit more frequently.
I downloaded Threads, so I'm unfortunately on Threads.
Does it pop up not through Instagram then? Why? Because you're on Instagram. I feel like you post on your Instagram story like way more than you usually do lately.
Oh, I've done it like twice in the past like month, which is more than I usually do. So that's true.
Oh yeah, I see.
You also might be seeing RJ videoing me for his own Instagram though too.
No. It was yours. Because I remember it was just like a selfie of you, and I was like, "Oh, cute."
Ari, this week we read chapter 18 called "Birthday Surprises," because we finally know another character's birthday in this book series.
Adam, we were just talking about his birthday. So like we somehow sensed that it was coming. Isn't that weird?
It was coming.
I was like, how do we know?
Because I remember when I was earlier this week when I changed our notes to birthday surprises, I was like, whose birthday? I literally was like, I don't even know what birthday is it Slughorn's birthday? I have no idea.
This was so crazy too, because I felt like maybe she does this a lot and I just like don't remember, but I felt like there was such a time jump in this, how it was like February. Yeah. It was like January to February to March. Like I was like, oh, I mean, I know February is like the shortest month, but I still was like, whoa, we're flying here.
Ari, what happens in the chapter?
So in this chapter, there's a lot going on. This is like a hard one to summarize. Harry is cheeky in potions. Ron's birthday comes to pass. And Harry's still suspicious of Malfoy. Like, is that right? Is that like the main points?
I guess so.
I left out? Ron's cheeky in potions, and Hermione and Ron don't like it. Maybe that.
Harry's cheeky in potions, and Ron and Hermione don't like it.
Yeah. Oh no, I forgot. Apparition. They begin their apparition lessons. That's the other thing that's important in this. So Harry's cheeky in potions. They begin their apparition lessons. Ron has a birthday. And
receives an unwelcome treat.
Yes. And mistakes a treat in the room for a birthday treat.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Yeah.
So the chapter starts off with Harry telling both Ron and Hermione about the Horcruxes separately. And I just want to say that I I know. I saw him climb up there. I was like, hello, Fried.
Do you want to lay down? Lay down.
Oh, there he is. Okay. So Harry tells Ron and Hermione what's happened with the Horcruxes separately because they're still not talking. Do you know I was pissed off immediately in this chapter? I'm sorry to go right to what made me mad, but it was just like so clear that this is just all on Hermione to like not be Ron anymore. It was like, oh, but Hermione, can't you? I'm like, you're not asking Ron that.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking her, and she's like, no, and she's rightfully pissed off that he's like, can you just like forgive him? I'm like, first off, no, nothing has changed. I don't know why you suddenly
he doesn't even like Lavender.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I'm like, it's not like you're like BFFs with this girl now either. You don't even talk to her. There's not one scene where Harry like converses with Lavender and is like, hey, how's it going?
No.
I understand they're like making out all the time, but like before they'd start doing that, you're not just like, oh, hey, how's your week?
Right.
He just doesn't like talk to her at all. It's so strange. So that really pissed me off because I was like, I don't know why you thought like Christmas break would have happened and then Hermione would just be ready to forgive Ron.
She's over it.
It's just weird because he's not doing it to Ron. It's so one-sided.
I know.
And then
Ron hasn't done anything to like,
deserve her to start talking to him again. Yeah,
right.
So it's just weird. Like, I don't really understand, and it's weird to me that that's how J.K. wrote it. Like that she didn't like. She's like, oh yeah, and then Hermione like she wrote something about how Hermione stormed off from Harry and left him in like 6 inches of snow or something like that. And I was like, no, she's not leaving Harry in the snow. They were out for a walk and then Harry's being a douchebag and she doesn't want to talk to Harry anymore. If Harry wants to stand in the snow, that's on him. Like it just, the way she was writing it was making it sound like Hermione's being so ridiculous. And I'm like, she's not. Why would she start talking to him again? He hasn't done anything to like extend an olive branch to her.
Right.
So yeah, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now, but it was just so weird. I was like, you're starting the chapter off like that? Really? All right.
There's always one every book, except for like book 1 because it's so short. But like every book I feel like has the one thing that I'm like, please, we have to move on from this.
Did you watch that video I sent you? I can't remember what day I sent it, of the surgeon who was like, that does like, I don't even want to like gender
on Instagram
affirming surgery. Yeah. Cause he was like,
I just saw before we started, I saw that you had messaged me a couple videos that I haven't watched yet.
This one that I sent was in our text chat, not on Instagram.
Ooh.
But he was like, I'm not going to try and write a children's story. I wish she'd like stay out of the work that I do. And he was like, I just don't understand why she's always getting like quoted all the time and stuff.
Oh,
like, he was like they're always like quoting her. And he was like, but yeah, I just thought, because he was just so like to the point and like direct about it, that he was just like, I don't understand why. Like she has no idea what my line of work involves. There's no reason for her to be commenting on it. Anyways, back in the book, back in book 6, Hermione has not heard of Horcruxes at all, which Harry is very disappointed about. And I was like, you're going to this girl to essentially have her do the like mental labor of figuring out what these are. You were hoping she knew so you wouldn't have to do it, bro. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of glad she didn't know. Not that he goes to the library and looks. She's the one that does that. But like, I just was like, you know what? I don't want it to be that easy for you, Harry.
It said she's looked through every book in the restricted section, all the worst books in the restricted section.
Yeah.
When do they get access to the restricted section?
I know. I had that same thought. Is it like 5th year or something? That was what came to my head for some reason. I was like the upper 3 last years at Hogwarts.
I feel like it would be 6 and 7 because you've passed your OWLs.
Oh, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because for probably newts, I'm assuming you might have to go in the restricted section to
depending on what you're looking into. That would make sense if it's after your OWLs. And would make sense for this book then, because it's the first time they would be able to. But yeah, Hermione's like, oh, they must be really advanced dark magic, whatever Horcruxes are. I don't know. She's like, I think it'll be difficult to get that out of Slughorn. Like, you'll have to think of a strategy.
Yeah. Do you ever think about how in book 1, getting to the restricted section was such a big deal that I was like, it's definitely going to come back a bunch. Like, the restricted section is going to be a huge part of this book series. And it like never really matters anymore.
It's in book 2, Hermione gets like a note from Lockhart to go.
Yeah.
Like, and that was maybe the last time it was made into like a big deal. So we've got book 1 and 2, and then we never hear about it again.
Every time the restricted section is mentioned, it doesn't actually advance the plot. Like, they don't find any information out in the restricted section.
Yeah.
Because they go into the restricted section to find Nicholas Flamel in book 1, but he's not in the restricted section. He ends up just being in a regular book.
Yeah. The only time that it actually does make a difference is in book 2 for the Polyjuice potion. Because he lets them get something out, and then, so that's the only time that it's like, I don't know, worth them going into it once.
But then Slughorn is just making Polyjuice potion at the beginning of this book.
Yeah, but that's what I think. So because they're this year, you must be right, Adam, that they could have access to this book. Like now, but not as. But then that's still crazy because then anyone could just make Polyjuice potion.
Right.
Like, it's just like a student could make it too. It's not like Slughorn is
and also like, we didn't talk about it at the beginning of this book, but like Polyjuice potion, we definitely know it took like 28 days to brew or something like that. Like, it's an insane.
Yeah, it's a really long time.
Really long processing time, but he just had those ready to go on day 1.
Yeah. He just knew those are the ones he has ready every year. So it's the same thing every year.
Got them just in Tupperware. He heats them up.
Yeah. He just reheats them. Yeah. The magical equivalent of a microwave, whatever that is. So Hermione's like, oh yeah, you better think of a strategy to get it out of him. Cause like, I doubt he's going to be that forthcoming with you. If he wasn't like forthcoming with Voldy, he's not going to tell you. And then Harry's like, oh, Ron reckons I should just like hang back after potions later today. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, if Wan says you should do that, then go ahead. And I was like, Harry, let's be real. Whose plan sounds like a better idea? I guess he likes Ron's plan better because he wants it to be that easy. But I'm like, let's think about who you would actually listen to. I mean, I guess neither of them. But like, I'm just like, you don't want to listen to Hermione, but in the end, she typically is right. So, and sure enough, she is correct with how Slughorn responds.
Right.
So they have potions.
We'll talk about this more when he actually does it, but I got really annoyed that he thought it would. He does two things in this chapter that really grind my. You know, I'll just wait. I'll wait.
Okay, we'll but make sure put that little hand in the air, Adam, when it's time. Yeah. Boy Scouts. Did you hear this? Boy Scouts are changing their name to Scouts. Oh, look at.
Oh, really?
Friedrich just like flailed his head around. Friedrich, oh, you're just so miserable when RJ isn't there, huh? It's just such a hard life.
He lives such a hard life.
So they have potions later that day. Hermione moves away from both Harry and Ron during potions to sit with Ernie instead because she's like pissed at Harry too. And Ron's like, what have you done? She's pissed off at you too, huh? And so they're making antidotes to potions. This is what this potions class is about. Hermione immediately gets 10 points to Gryffindor, like right away for answering a question perfectly. Yeah.
We are in the weeds on magical potion theory in this chapter. Yeah. It is for a book. We get in the weeds on this, and we get in the weeds on apparition, like how to do it magically.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, after reading this chapter, I was like, you know what? All the times I wanted explanations of how magic works, I actually don't, because I think it's
I don't need them now.
Disinteresting. No.
It was so funny. With this one, I was like, I don't know if she purposefully wrote it this way, but like, and again, I have dyslexia. So I was like, when they were going through, like I was listening to the audiobook, and when they were going through the breakdown of the potion stuff, I was like, I'm not getting it. It might have been purposely done that way. But like, I was just literally like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Basically, they get a poison, and then they have to like long division it back to its antidote.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, it felt like math to my brain, which is I was never good at math from like seventh grade onward. I was not really good at math. Although 8th grade, I remember whoever my teacher was, she was a good teacher, and I did pretty well in that class just because of the way she explained it worked for my brain. But like pretty much all of high school, terrible at math. I do think you have to have a good teacher though when it comes to math. Like you can
maths,
unless you're just over here maths, married at first sight, maths. But yeah, I feel like maybe there are people that like would be good at math with any teacher just because it makes sense to them. But that was not me. So Harry's like me. He doesn't understand what's going on. No one really does except Hermione, which she's very happy about. Ron is like doodling in his textbook as Slughorn's explaining stuff because he keeps forgetting he can't rely on Hermione. And there was a part in this chapter that made me laugh a lot. So Slughorn's like, all right, get started. Wear your protective gloves. Let's go. And like before anyone even like has moved, Hermione's like already up and like at the cupboard getting what she needs. So then everyone else kind of like gets up and starts doing whatever they need to do. And then it made me laugh because Hermione's like, oh, there's no shortcuts. There's no way for you to like cheat over this, blah, 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 whatever. You'll have to understand the theory, blah, blah, blah. Like, and she's all excited because she doesn't think like he stands a chance. So then Harry's kind of just like going through the motions of like getting stuff ready. And then he like looks at Ron, and Ron is just like mirrored what Harry's doing. Like Ron's just standing next to him, like, just has done all the exact same things like by spying on Harry. And I don't know why that made me laugh so much, like picturing that. Because have you ever, I guess Adam was really smart in school, so I don't think Adam, have you ever had to do this? But I've had to do this before where like you just kind of look at the person next to you and like just kind of do what they're doing just to figure it out. Because you have no idea what the teacher just said. Like,
I've not had to do it for school, but I've had to do it for like if I had to like cook something and like RJ and I are cooking together, I'll be like,
yeah, you just like look. It's just so funny. I've totally been that person where you're just like, or you'd like whatever the instructions were not clear to you, or you weren't paying attention because you would like dazed off and like were in a little dreamland in your head, whatever it was. Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, I know that feeling. Just to like, and especially like looking over at your friend and then you both like realize you don't know what to do.
No, actually it's like dance classes. That's where I've done it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where I was like,
I do remember there was one time when I was a TA for like ballet one, and I remember, modern one. And I remember one time a student came up to me And her name was Ari too, funny enough. And she was like, can you help me with that? I'm having trouble. And I literally was like, no, I can't. I don't get it either. But then I went to the teacher and I was like, can you demonstrate that again? Because even I'm having a hard time with that. And she was like, yeah. But it was just so funny because the student was like, can you help me? And I was like, no, I can't.
Sorry.
I don't know, girl.
We'll be lost together, girl.
Yeah, but she did laugh, so I don't think she was that upset, thankfully. And then the teacher went over it, so hopefully I got the answer in the end. But yeah, I remember being like, no. So Hermione is like on her way, getting all her stuff together and her antidote for this potion. The thing that I had a question about was like, what's the potion? They pick a potion? He's made all these different potions? He's made
a potion.
How do they know?
Had to like go up to the front of the class and get a file of the potion.
How do they know what's in it? How are they supposed to know what's in that previously brewed potion? I was like, even Hermione. How's Hermione gonna know? I don't know. So I was like, okay, I guess that's fine.
In my head, it was supposed to be like they take the potion and then you should be able to basically like boil it down to its raw ingredients to like by doing some magic. You do Revelio, you do some whatever, and then you find out what it is. So like, then you can make your antidote. I don't know.
But I'm then imagining like, okay, if you put in like, let's say like cooking, let's say you put in like flour, oil, water, and then like a seasoning or something. Like you're saying it's going to like separate to those ingredients. This is where I was like, I don't know what's going on. So anyway,
it's weird. It's just so in the weeds. It's so bizarre because she does not write classes like this ever.
No, and that's why I was like, is it purposefully done in a way that we're not supposed to understand? Like that was the only thing I could think of because I was I genuinely don't know what's happening.
It's two things. It's supposed to demonstrate how like much harder the classes are now, I think.
Yeah, at this
age.
That
they're like getting into like theory, like advanced potions is about like theory as opposed to like, here's how to make a potion.
Yeah, I guess. So after Harry and Ron have just like looked at each other like, oh, we both don't know what to do. Ron's like, what does the prince say? Yeah, wait, you look that way and I'll look this way. Ron's like, so maybe the prince has something? What does the prince say about it? Maybe he can give us some helpful tips.
The prince.
And so Harry looks in the chapter on antidotes, but he doesn't see anything at first glance. So they're like, oh, we're screwed. We don't know. So Hermione has mastered nonverbal spells to no one's surprise. They don't know what she's like saying to her potion, but they overhear Ernie doing like a Revelio spell. So then they're like, okay, we're just going to do that too. Continuing to just like spy on other people around the classroom. You're right, Adam, that this is very much like a dance class. If you don't know what's going on, you'll just be like, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So Harry, after they've kind of been like trying to do some stuff like by the book, or not by the book, but like the right way for a while, Harry goes back into his copy, the prince's copy of the book, and looks through the antidote chapter. He's just kind of like flipping through the pages. And then he sees that the prince actually has written something. He says, just shove a bezoar down their throat. So Harry's like, okay, well, I'm going to try and grab a bezoar from this little like potions cabinet back here.
A very violent way to give someone yeah.
Yeah, to shove something.
It says something about the prince that he wrote it as just shove a bezoar down their throats. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not a very sensitive person. Not a very gentle soul.
No. We, of course, don't know who it is. But.
Yeah, and then this might be the first clue because Harry's like, I remember, didn't I hear that being said by Snape in our first year potions class? He did say that. I do remember that now. So Harry manages to get this Bezoar like right before Slughorn is gonna cut off the time, basically. So Slughorn's going around looking at everyone's potions or antidotes. Then when he gets to Harry shows him the Bezoar in his hand, and Slughorn stares at it for a full 10 seconds. So Adam, I wanted for a full 10 seconds. You're just looking.
Okay.
That was 10 seconds.
That was 10 seconds.
That long. If you're really doing like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Yeah.
That's so long.
I know. I was like 5 seconds feels. I don't know if this is like an ADHD thing, but like if I'm recording something or like we're doing a podcast and I'm searching for the word, it feels like it's taking so much longer. Like when I go back and watch, like when I'm editing or like watching our videos, I'll be like, oh, it didn't actually take me that long to find the word, but it will feel like ages in my head. But yeah, so I'm like 10 actual seconds. Like that is so long. You'd literally just be like, all right, I guess I'm about to get kicked out. This is my last potions class. I'm not taking my newts. I'm not going to become an aura. Can't become an aura. Nope. Off the table. But then thankfully Slughorn ends up like throwing his head back and laughing. And he's like, well, I can't argue with that. You're right. Oh, you've got the same intuitive knack for potions, just like your mother did. He's like, you're just like your mother. Oh, like he likes that he was cheeky. It reminds him of Lily. And then he gives like an extra 10 points to Harry for sheer cheek, as he says. And Hermione, while this is going on, is like, oh, you just thought of that? You just thought of that
on your own?
But he just doesn't even hear her. I don't even think we heard about him even looking at her potion. Because he's still going on about Harry when like class,
those bell rings.
Yeah, when the bell rings and they go to their next class.
Do you think if any other student had done this, he would have been as enamored with the cheek of it all?
I don't know. I think there would have been more of a, I see what you tried to do there, but it's still important. Because he does say to Harry, it's still important to like learn how to make an antidote.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think if it would have been another student, he would have been like,
nice try, girl.
Where's your brood antidote? But yeah, I think Harry gets away with it, unfortunately.
Because he's a Nepo baby.
Yeah, basically. He's just got that soft spot for Lily, so he's already kind of ready to like whatever Harry does. But you know what? I'm just glad we're talking about Lily for once in this damn book series. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to hear about James. I want to hear about Lily and like the prodigy that she was
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Harry does end up lingering after class to talk to Slughorn. Neither Ron or Hermione wish him good luck because they're both pissed.
Right.
And then Harry he's very much reminded of Tom Riddle in this moment. Like he's like, oh my God, I'm like exactly like him right now because I'm about to ask him essentially the same question. So he's like, ugh. So he asks Slughorn what he knows about Horcruxes or what he could tell him about Horcruxes. And Slughorn like instantly changes. So this is the first time that Harry has seen the real not Slughorn. Charming Slughorn. Yeah. Like the mask has fallen. And he's like, Dumbledore put you up to this, didn't he? And Harry's like, yeah. He just like is honest. He's like, he thought it would be better to tell the truth. And then he's like, oh, he's shown you the memory. He's shown you that memory, huh? Harry's like, mm-hmm. And then Slughorn is like, well, if you've seen that memory, then you know I don't know anything. You know that I said I didn't know anything. And that's it. And Harry's like, well, I thought that maybe there would be more to the memory.
Right.
And Slughorn's like, oh, did you? Well, you were wrong. And then he like yells, wrong! At him.
Yeah. bellows.
Wrong!
Wrong!
Yeah. You were wrong. Wrong. And then he leaves, storms out of the classroom, leaving Harry alone. Yeah. Peace out. Yes, this is your moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. At the beginning of this book series, Harry, Ron and Hermione were in Nocturne Alley, and they overheard Draco in Borgin and Burke's. And then Hermione basically goes in and does this exact thing where she tries to be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And Harry's like, you fucking thought that would work, you stupid bitch. And now he did it?
Almost worse.
And was like, can't believe it didn't work. I'm shocked.
Oh my God. I thought he would totally give me special treatment after I gave him that Bezoar.
I thought if I just gave him a little
tell me
cheek,
everything,
he would be like, oh yeah, slay. Here's the full mem, girl.
Yeah. Here's the new memory. Whenever has that worked? Yeah, that's a great point.
You knew it wouldn't work for Hermione. Oh, it's so annoying. I was annoyed.
So Harry tells both Ron and Hermione. Neither of them are sympathetic because they're still annoyed with Harry because of this like potions class situation. Ron, I don't really care about because he didn't know anything either, and he was like mad that Harry didn't like also give him a Bezoar. And Harry's like, well, we couldn't both have one. I had to like, butter him up for what I was about to ask him. I'm like, yeah, and that worked so well. But Hermione, I get it, because she's just like pissed at him for somehow getting away with this when she, like actually made that whole potion and everything. Because there was also a moment in this chapter where it was like Hermione hadn't taken well to like not being number one in the class anymore. And I'm like, but Hermione is number one in the class because she like goes all in on like studying. Like she's a hard worker. It's not just because she like has a photographic memory or something.
Right.
Like she is really bright, but I'm like, she reads the books and all that kind of stuff way more than anyone else does.
She still knows more than what Harry knows. Harry's just following the instructions at a... Yeah.
She's like
I would be annoyed
a real chef, and she's real innovative, and Harry just like does what I do, which is just like reads the step-by-step recipe.
Right.
The easiest recipe possible. Like the least amount of steps. That's like basically what he's doing. So yeah, I would be pissed. So he kind of is trying to figure out, what he can do to get this memory out of Slughorn. But he can't really come up with anything. He also is like waiting for like another Slug Club invite because he's like, well, whatever's happening, I'll make sure I can go. But there aren't any more Slug Club invites. Like he just doesn't have any other type of parties. But then Hermione, completely forgetting like how annoyed she is with Harry because of like the print situation, because she's gone to the library and hasn't been able to find anything. She's like basically so distracted by that she kind of lets it go, this situation with Harry. And so then she's like, I can't believe I couldn't find anything. Like the library, this is the first time the library has let her down. And she's like Adam said earlier, like she even went into the restricted section and there's nothing. The only thing that she could find was like this one little paragraph that was basically saying because Horcruxes are like so terrible, they won't even mention like, they won't give any instruction. They won't give any details. They just like won't give any info. So yeah, she only finds out like that one little bit of information that they're just so awful. It's like can't be discussed.
Yeah. The most evil magic in the world. It's so bad. We're just never going to talk about it. It's
literally like the equivalent of Voldemort, but magic form.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, huh. Interesting.
We can't give a little description as to what it is. Maybe don't know, say how to do it, but like we can't be like,
but this is what it is.
It's all you can say is just it's someone has done magic, something so evil that a piece of their soul is left behind in
their
objects.
soul is like changed forever,
shattered.
Yeah. So February rolls
Spoiler
around.
alert, that's what a Horcrux is.
Yeah. So February rolls around. They're talking about the weather, that it's all like cold and wet and muddy. Their first apparition lesson is held in the Great Hall. The instructor is a small wizard who has colorless and transparent eyelashes, wispy hair, and an insubstantial air about him. So AKA like the perfect person to just like disappear. Is what
it's the ghost
Harry,
of Christmas present for sure.
Basically, yeah.
Can I say something too?
Yeah.
About this memory, Dumbledore wants the full memory to know what Slughorn said to Riddle.
Yeah.
But he already thinks that he's doing I don't know what, he just wants the confirmation that Slughorn did explain what a Horcrux was to Riddle.
Does Dumbledore not know the full? I think it's more about the number, isn't it? So he can get like a number of what? It's like, it's just whatever information Voldy revealed in that moment. I think Dumbledore just wants to see like how much he could get out of that interaction, basically. Because he's already confirmed their
Horcruxes. Yeah, he knows it's Horcruxes.
Yeah, I think it's just more like
his hand's gone bad because of it.
Yeah. The instructor, this apparition instructor, is named Wilkie Twycross, which I loved the last name Twycross.
Wilkie Twycross.
He begins like talking about apparition, and then McGonagall like calls out Malfoy for talking and tells him to be quiet. So then Harry's like, something's going on. And so then as soon as they are able to kind of move around to begin the apparition stuff, Harry moves to position himself right behind Malfoy so he can overhear whatever he's saying, to eavesdrop. And then Malfoy's basically telling Crabbe to not ask what he's doing and just keep a lookout for him when he's doing whatever he's doing. To which Harry's like, oh, I tell my friends when they're keeping a lookout for me. Yeah.
Harry, you're the stupidest fucking person in this book series. You went over there to eavesdrop and then you just invited yourself into the conversation.
Yeah. Before he said anything else.
Before he revealed anything. So now he knows you're listening. Like, what was the point? You're not going to find out. This made me so mad. Like, you can't help yourself, Harry. You can't help yourself. You can't
resist.
And I don't know why are you? Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's no self-control.
I don't know, because I guess right after this, like, they aren't able to talk anyway, because the teachers are like, be quiet.
Yeah, but he didn't know that.
No, I know. That's why I was like,
none of them knew that.
It was just lucky that, because I was like, you could have probably been quiet and then like learned more information as everything went on.
So annoying.
So Harry's like, I tell my friends what I'm doing if I'm asking them to keep a lookout for me. So then Draco like whips around, but then the teachers are all like, shh, be quiet, keep going with, your apparition training or your apparition lesson. And so Twycross says, remember the 3 Ds: destination, determination, and deliberation. There are also hoops for the students to like apparate into. This is what they're doing on their first day. So they're instructed to basically just like spin around themselves, imagining that they are going to move into the hoop. So everyone tries to do this, but just kind of spins around themselves. Like no one does anything. They keep practicing. Nothing interesting really happens except for the 4th time around, when there's a horrible screech of pain because Susan Bones has apparated, but has left her left leg behind. So the heads of house like all like converge on her. There's like this puff of purple smoke. When it clears, it reveals her like sobbing. She's been reunited with her leg, but she's like, poor girl's like traumatized.
Also that pain leg has to be crazy.
Yeah, like I'm just like, I don't know what that
is. It like, because I'm trying to imagine, is it that does it end up looking like your leg has rounded itself out and there's like skin over top and you're like, Or is it like open flesh, muscle, ligament, bone?
That's what was in the film with Ron. Like, it's like his skin came away. Like a big chunk of his skin is missing. So I don't know. It is scary. It's kind of like a quick thing that we go past. But I was like, I don't know. If I was her, I would have been like, I don't know if I want to ever apparate after that. Like,
no.
I just felt so bad for her.
Even if I was in the room, I wouldn't want to. Like, just seeing it, I would be like,
yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
You'd be like, I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm so good. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
I'll use the Flu Network.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, Adam, I was going to say, I made a note about that. So, Twycross is like, by the end of the lesson, he's not really even like, he's not surprised that no one's been able to. He does do like a perfect example of apparating like flawlessly himself. But it seems like this is pretty normal that no one's able to get it like on the first day or get it properly. So there's like this brief little exchange between Ron and Hermione because Ron's like, oh, I felt like a tingling in my feet at one point. And Hermione's like, oh, that probably means your shoes are too small. And then like storms away. But Harry's like, I didn't feel anything. And he's like, I'm actually not fussed. I actually prefer flying. And then I was like, you prefer flying, but not flu powder? You would rather fly hours on a broom? No one is like interested in flu powder. No one is like, obviously flu powder is the way to go. Flu powder is method of transportation, and you're not risking yourself being splinched. This is like the hill we will die on, Adam, that like flu powder is not like celebrated enough in this series. Like
the only thing better than flu powder, and that's not apparition, is a port key, but those have to be set up like through the ministry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's like the other instant thing. But yeah, like a flu powder, it sounds like flu powder, you could literally connect any chimney, any fireplace. Right. Yeah, so I just don't understand. I was like, flying? Really, bro? So Harry's like, oh, we gotta go up to the dorm room. Come on, Ron. Like he's like rushing them to get back. And then Ron's like, what's going on? Harry's like, I'm going to get out the Marauders map because I want to like look for Malfoy because I think I know he's up to something now. I heard him talking to Crabbe and Goyle about it. So then they're like looking at the map and Ron's like, oh no, he's right there. He's in the common room with all the other Slytherins. He's not doing anything like weird right now. And so Harry's like, okay, but I'm going to keep an eye on him. I'm going to see what he's really doing. So then Harry's like monitoring the Marauders map throughout the next couple weeks.
I was once again annoyed that like 2 chapters ago or whenever the Christmas party was for Slughorn, that like Harry had been just carrying around his invisibility cloak and was like, I've just got it in my pocket. But now I'm to believe that he's just not carrying around. Again,
what pocket?
I would have the Marauders map on my person at all times.
All times, yeah.
There would never be a moment that I did not have the Marauders map.
Yeah,
if you think nefarious things are happening at Hogwarts, which he does,
then you would have that shit with you all the time. Yeah. Especially because that definitely can fit in your pocket. There's no reason why, like...
It's a blank parchment.
Yeah. And also it could be the invisibility cloak is weird because it's like, how small can the invisibility cloak get? I know we like basically decided we were like, maybe his dress robes have like really big billowy pockets or something, and that's how. But then that still means he would have like this lump.
Yeah.
But a map you can put in your pocket or in your school bag or whatever.
Just carry it around.
So yeah, he's like, he continues to watch Draco. He does see Crabbe and Goyle like in the hallways by themselves a lot, but when he sees them, Draco isn't with them. So remember this. And then he's like,
can't find him anywhere on the map.
Yeah, he's nowhere to be found on the map. So then Harry's like, is Draco actually leaving the school? Like, is that what's happening?
But
is he leaving somehow?
There's heightened security, Ari.
Yeah, how is he doing that?
How?
So here we go with this time jump. February bleeds into March. Ron is sad because the Hogsmeade trip that was going to be on his birthday was canceled. And they're continuing with their apparition lessons like throughout this time as well. So everyone is very annoyed because of this like apparition situation, and like Twycross, they're all annoyed with the situation, probably because none of them are doing very well.
Yeah.
For Ron's birthday, it's the 1st of March. And I made the note that I was like, how funny, because we were just talking about his birthday. Harry gives him new keeper gloves. And then as Ron is opening his presents, Harry is looking for Malfoy on the map again, but he's like, hey, he's not in his bed, and he like can't find him. So Ron's not really paying attention though, because he's just like excited about his birthday presents, which honestly, Ron, I get it. You're like, Harry, this one time I don't want to be talking about Malfoy on my birthday while I'm opening my presents. Can we just like not talk about it? Like,
yeah,
come on.
I also, going back to the Marauders map thing and Crabbe and Goyle just by themselves.
Yeah.
He didn't ever see where they were. Like what hallway.
What he's around.
What they
they're
were
close to.
Which is weird because Harry, in the previous year in book 5 during Dumbledore's army, would check the map to make sure that the coast was clear in that area.
Yeah.
For a specific
and was
reason.
very familiar with this situation that we're going to later get into in this book.
It's one thing to be like, oh, I'm not familiar with this part, this corridor or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was like a random room that we didn't know about, but like we know that he's very much studied that area.
Oh, yeah.
So you would know, oh, I know it's over here.
Yeah. And exactly as you said, had to check the map for that area.
Yep.
And this was also just last year. This wasn't like something that they did in like first year.
Mere months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ron is very happy with his birthday haul. He got this new watch, which is really cool. That's like a coming of age present, I guess, that wizards get in the wizarding world, witches and wizards get in the wizarding world. Harry still like can't find Draco anywhere on the map, so he's like freaking out about it. And then Ron's trying to offer him a cauldron cake, but because Harry's so focused on the situation with Draco, he's like, no. But isn't really paying attention to Ron. Ron ends up having 3 of these cauldron cakes, and then Harry's like puts the map away and is like, okay, let's go have some breakfast. I'm really hungry. But then notices Ron is like staring out the window, like, and she's kind of like got this like glazed over look. Yeah, perfect. I actually think this bit is really funny. I don't know if it's just because the way that it's delivered in the audiobook is like hilarious to me. The way he like says the lines is so good. But he's like, okay, let's go have breakfast. And Ron's like, no, you go. I'm not hungry. And Harry's like, you literally just ate 3 cauldron cakes. Like, you were clearly starving only a few seconds ago. And then he's like,
full now. He had those cauldron cakes and he's on Ozempic.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Just those 3. Ruined his appetite. This is why your parents tell you don't have your sweets before your meal. And then Ron's being like super like emo. He's like, no, I'm not hungry. I can't tell you. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't get it. And Harry's like, okay, fair enough. And like goes to leave. That is so like British that someone's like, oh, you wouldn't get like like some type of phrase like, oh, you wouldn't understand. Or like, oh, no, it's not important. It doesn't matter. And then they're just like, all right, well, okay. I'm just gonna move on with my day.
Understood.
And then Ron's like, oh, Harry, I can't stand it. I can't stop thinking about her. And then it says like Harry's like really uncomfortable with this because he's like, okay, like we're friends, but I don't know how much I really want to hear about like whatever he's going to start talking about. Like he's just like, I don't really want to get into this. And then Ron is like, she doesn't even know like I exist. And Harry's like, but why is that? How is this getting in the way of like your breakfast? Like, what's going on? And he's like, I think she does know you exist because you've been snogging her like every other minute. And then Ron's like, who are you talking about? And Harry's like, who
Lavender Brown?
Harry's like, what do you mean? Who are you talking about? And then Ron's like, Romilda Vane. Harry's like,
Romilda
Vane.
Not Romilda. Have you seen the Not the Boar Worms? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wait, I think I do know. What is that from?
So T.S. Madison filled in for Trixie because Trixie's like on hiatus or whatever right now.
Oh, yeah.
And Trixie and Katya have their little podcast together. So it was T.S. Madison and Katya.
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
T.S. brings up that like there was this, I don't know which, was it Star Trek? There was some show from like the 70s.
Yeah.
I think it was Star Trek. And there was an episode that she thought was really funny where like they're like, we're gonna do the boar worms, and the woman in the like, show goes, no, not the boar worms. But then like
I think I've seen that clip. I think that's what I've seen. Okay. Yeah.
So T.S. was talking about it. She was like, she thought it was so funny that she would do it on the judges panel just to make Rue laugh because like Rue would find it, and she'd be like, not the boar worms, not the boar worms. It's so funny.
It is that. It's very much that. It's that vibe. Romilda Vane. And then Ron, it's so good. It's so good how he says it on the, maybe I can just find it. It's so good how he says it on the audiobook. He's like, Harry, I think I love her. It's like so good. Let me find it. It's in the middle.
Romilda Vane, said Ron softly, and his whole face seemed to illuminate as he said it, as though hit by a ray of purest sunlight. They stared at each other for almost a whole minute before Harry said, this is a joke, right? You're joking. Harry, I think I love her.
I love her.
It's so good. I forgot that.
Again, they look at each other for a whole minute. Okay, so now Ari and I are going to look at each other for 1 minute.
Can we do it? Are you going to look into the camera?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, we didn't look at, when does the timer start?
I think it was like 25.
Okay. I can't even do it.
It's so stupid.
It's so funny. I forgot about that bit too. I'm glad I played that back so we could hear that a whole minute of just them being like, So yeah, he's like, I think I love her. And Harry's like, I love her. And then Harry's like, oh, this is very funny. This is hilarious, but I have to go eat. I'm really hungry. And so then Harry goes to leave, and Ron literally launches himself across the room and punches Harry like in the side of the head. And then Harry's like, oh my God, and sees that Ron is like coming at him again. So he just like instinctively like pulls his wand and then does the whatever the, what is it?
Levicorpus.
Yeah, Levicorpus, where Ron's like lifted up into the air upside down.
But he does it in his head. He doesn't say it out loud.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Right. It's a nonverbal. And so then he's like, why did you do that? What was that for? And Ron's like, you insulted her. He's like, you said it was a joke. And then at first Harry's like, why are you being insane? Like, what is going on? But then he realizes, oh my God, those are the cauldron cakes that Romilda Vane tried to give me. He's like, where'd you get those? And Ron's like, those were for me. They were for my birthday. And Harry was like, no, I put those out on the floor when I was like cleaning or clearing stuff away to get the map, which I was like, girl, that map is not right on top because you keep checking that. You're stowing the map away every time. You dumb. And then Ron was like,
no, here's what's dumb. Why do you still have the cauldron cakes?
Right. This is hardly Ron's fault. You should have thrown that shit away like right away.
Even, I'm going to say this, even if the cauldron cakes weren't filled with a love potion, okay?
Yeah.
They should still be in the garbage because they are from December.
Yeah. Would have expired
it is now
long
March.
ago.
A full season of a calendar year has progressed. And I'm supposed to believe those cauldron cakes are still fresh?
Also,
edible?
Stuff expires faster over here in the UK. So those are definitely like well past the due date.
Right. And they're not like sealed little cakes.
It's just like a cake.
They're not little Debbie cakes. They're just open cakes.
Yeah. Wild. So yeah,
Harry Potter is a
thrown away.
nasty little man. He's disgusting.
Nasty little boy. So Harry's like, oh no, those were the cauldron cakes that Romilda gave me like before Christmas. And then Ron, like all Ron hears is Romilda. So he's like, oh, Romilda, do you know her? Can you introduce me? Harry, please. And then Harry's like, you know what? In his head, he has this whole like back and forth in his head because he's like very annoyed at Ron for just hitting him. And then he's like, you know what? Maybe I should just let him like go and embarrass himself. And he's like really considering this for a second. And I was like, I'm sorry. Even if I was annoyed with my friend, I would not consider letting them go and like fawn all over this person that they don't have feelings for with a love potion. But I do feel like love potions are a lot more sinister maybe than the average person. Like I'm just like, this is like not a good thing for people to be able to make. So yeah, Harry briefly considers letting Ron make a fool of himself, but then he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But he does let Ron fall to the floor rather ungracefully. But also my question was like, how do you
you don't have the spell to,
way? Yeah, is there a spell for
have,
letting someone like
drop?
You know what I'm picturing in the fourth movie when they come down from the port key and they're all just like walking?
Oh.
What was that? Yeah, they're just like walking above.
I was thinking of what does Dumbledore do in the third one?
Arresto momentum. Yeah, okay, arresto momentum. That he could have done that to help Ron.
He could have done that. Yeah.
So then he lets Ron like drop to the floor because he's like he had been hit by Ron very hard. So but Ron just like gets up right away. Is that what I did?
He doesn't feel anything.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna meet Romilda. Oh, it's a great day. So then Harry's like, oh yeah, she's with Slughorn. We can go to Slughorn's. That's where she's gonna be. And then he's like, why would she be there? And Harry's like, oh, she takes extra potions lessons with him. And then Ron's like, oh my God, great. Maybe I can also take extra potions lessons with her. Maybe I can do that.
I think you need extra potions lessons.
I'm like,
Ronald.
Yeah, this is the most like proactive I think we've like seen or like heard Ron being with anything. And it's because he's taken a damn love potion. I'm like, yeah, Jesus. So they get to Slughorn's. Harry's like, oh, what Slughorn, sorry, excuse me. Slughorn's like, it's really early. What are you doing? And he's like, well, my friend Ron had these cauldron cakes and now he's like, they had a love potion in them. So now he's all like goo goo gaga. And Slughorn is like, well, I thought you would have been able to make like an antidote for him, you know, to help with that. But Harry's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not as experienced as you. And also like, he might've done something stupid by the time I could like figure it out. And then, Slughorn's like, oh, well, how, like, is it past the due date or something like that? Like the eat by date or whatever?
Yes,
consume by date?
It is.
Yeah. And then Harry's 100%. Like, yeah. And then we find out apparently potions can strengthen the longer you keep them. So, yeah,
like wine.
Yeah. So it's like even worse because they've just been sitting in there.
This is a 2020 love potion.
Yeah.
On the nose.
Oh, on yes. The palate. Excellent.
Yes. The vintage.
So Harry's like, please, can you help him? Like, it's his birthday too. It's his birthday today. And then Slughorn's like, oh, okay. Well, you know what? Yeah, I'll help him out. It's actually not that difficult of an antidote. So Ron like trips as he's coming in and he's like, oh my God, did she see that? Harry's like, no, she's not here yet. She's not here yet. And Ron's like, oh, okay. Good.
Almost made a fool of myself.
And then he's like, how do I look? Do I look okay? Do I look all right? And Harry's just like kind of looking at him, and Slughorn's like, oh yes, very handsome, very handsome. More confirmation that Sluggy is just like an old gay man. He's like, oh yes, so dashing. Oh. And then he hands Ron a clear liquid. So he must have already had it set aside. Did he say that he had the antidote already?
He said he keeps things on hand.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, great. So then he gives Ron this clear liquid. Ron drinks it. He's like, oh, for the nerves is what he tells Ron. But then Ron like drinks it right away and then immediately just looks like devastated because he's coming down from this high of being on the love potion.
In horror.
Like, yeah. He's just like, oh. And then they're like, oh yeah, you need to pick me up. Because you're going to feel like shit right now. And so then he's like, oh, well, what do we have? What would you like? He's like going through his beverages.
Hangover.
Yeah. And then Slughorn's like, oh, we could have like some butterbeer here. I can't remember what else he said, but he's like, there's definitely butterbeer.
He literally is like, we can have butterbeer, we can have some whiskey, or we can have some mead. And I'm like, okay, I understand that it's a lower drinking age in England, but my God, friends.
Maybe it's because Ron came of age, and so he thinks like, oh yeah, like we can actually have some. But Harry's not of age.
Ron's turning 17 here.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. We knew that. Yeah. We knew that. That's right. Because that's how he was going to happen.
But Harry isn't. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
So Ron gets the mead. Basically what happens is Slughorn's like, we'll do the mead. I was supposed to give that to Dumbledore for Christmas, but he won't miss it if he never knew he was going to have it. So we'll just have it now to celebrate your birthday. So Ron downs his before Harry and Slughorn like drink theirs. And then like Harry knows something is wrong like instantly before Slughorn like notices. And then Ron like can't breathe and his eyes are like bulging. Sorry, this part was you can keep this in or you can take it out if it shouldn't be in. This part was really hard because it reminded me of the last time that we saw Khaleesi. Because she was just like in pain and like struggling. He's like, Ron's like having trouble breathing and his eyes are bulging. And then like Harry's like asking Slughorn to do something. But Slughorn is just like in shock basically and is just like staring at Ron. And then Harry runs to the potions kit that Slughorn has there, gets a Bezoar, and then just like shoves it in Ron's mouth.
He shoves a Bezoar down his throat.
Yeah, he shoves a Bezoar down his throat. And then he basically just like goes limp and is still. And that's how the chapter ends. So we don't know if he got
in the middle of the action, basically.
Yeah. We don't know if he got the Bezoar in there in time or not.
Right.
Because I'm like, there has to be like a time
From
limit.
my recollection of reading this book series, I think this is when Ron dies, right? This is the chapter where Ron dies.
Whole book early. Because I'm like, there has to be a time limit with a Bezoar, doesn't there? You would think. I feel like you would have to get the Bezoar in within a certain amount of time.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read this part. There you are then, said Slughorn, handing Harry and Ron a glass of mead each before raising his own. Also, I don't like mead. I've had mead. It's not good.
Oh, yeah, no, me neither.
Well, a very happy birthday, Ralph. Ron, whispered Harry. But Ron, who did not appear to be listening to the toast, had already thrown the mead into his mouth and swallowed it. There was 1 second, hardly more than a heartbeat, in which Harry knew there was something terribly wrong, and Slughorn, it seemed, did not. I want to know why he knew something was wrong in a heartbeat.
Just because he was looking at Ron and Slughorn wasn't, maybe? So he could see that like something happened? That's the only thing I can think of.
It's just weird because then it goes, and may you have many more. That's Slughorn doing the toast.
Mm-hmm.
Harry says, Ron had dropped his glass. He half rose from his chair. And then, so I can't tell if I'm supposed to read that as like that happens during that, like while he's saying that, or like, it was just weird. I think the way it was
I know
written,
what you mean. Especially if he was
like,
giving a toast, because he would be looking at Ron then, you would think, because it's for his birthday.
Yeah.
Weird. But yeah, that's it. That's the chapter. It ends. I remember the first time I read this chapter and I was literally like,
I
are
will
we about
say
to lose him?
I forgot we were supposed to stop, so I started reading the next chapter. I got through like the first page and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. That happens with me every once in a while with some of these chapters where I'll be like just listening so intensely that it'll go into the next one and I'm like, oh right, I'm only listening to one.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, Ari, great job this week. Incredible work. That wraps up this chapter. Next week we'll be reading chapter 19 called Elf Tales. I'm
nervous. Anything with the elves. I don't remember either.
Sure.
But I'm like, just anything with elf stuff, I'm always like,
yeah. And especially now that like
it's creatures in the mix.
Yeah, creatures in the mix. It's like
yeah. Yay.
Ari, we have some comments.
Hooray.
Paper Star Girl, I think this is when you said you replied to Paper Star Girl's comment.
Yeah.
From another video about her. She was saying like, I'm sorry that you're losing Jung-un for the army or whatever.
Yeah.
So Paper Star Girl says, sorry, this is way off topic and definitely not an episode comment, but Ari, I feel you so much, and people who aren't into K-pop don't really understand this at all. My ult went into military service 4 years ago, leaving a baby at home, and this was in pandemic time, so it felt like an eternity. I want to say this. They put baby in all caps, and I can't tell if they're emphasizing the word baby or if there's a fandom called baby. I literally had no idea. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, please clarify for us.
Please clarify. Now it's like a distant memory and he's thriving more than ever. So all I can say is Jung-un will be back before you know it. And I hope you can enjoy all the content and listening to your favorite songs. Favorite with a U, by the way. So they're British or Canadian.
Oh, you're over
songs
here.
To feel
Paper Star
to feel
Girl.
his presence in the group.
Oh my gosh. Message me on Instagram, Paper Star Girl, because maybe we're closer to each other than we think we are.
Sorry, this is so way off topic, but you saying you cried for 20 minutes, I felt that. P.S. Thank you for the shout out. I appreciate you both so much for the podcast and for giving me an outlet for the needless analysis I go through with Harry Potter. Re-exploring the books through this pod when I haven't opened them in years gives me so much comfort.
Oh, we're happy to give that to you because we need to do it. We need to let it out too.
Yeah.
But yeah, tomorrow is the probably what is going to be like Jung-un's last performance in a concert, as far as we know, because this was the last thing that they said he would be going to. So I am like watching, I'm like recording a reaction to that live basically because they're streaming it. So I was like, well, I'm definitely going to watch it live then if I can. But the craziest thing about that is the same day that 17 is playing at this like Lollapalooza Berlin, one of Michael's favorite groups is playing the same stage the same day before 17. So I was like, we could have gone, seen your group together and then stayed there and then seen 17 and been in the front row. And I was like, I like can't think about it too much because I'll get mad. It's like the only the only time in probably our whole life that like they would be at the same festival, let alone the same stage.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, but yeah, thank you, Paper Star Girl.
Medmed001 says Ari's blank expression at Adam's singing is killing me. Also, I never realized. So at the end of one of the episodes, you were reading. There was the Paper Star Girl's comment. You were reading it, and you were like, "I was getting verklempt at like already thinking about Jung-un going into the military service. And I was singing the name of the next chapter, which was Very Frosty Christmas, but I was singing it as Frosty the Snowman. And so I was like doing it, and you were just like,
I need to watch that. I forgot
they also
about
say,
that.
Also, I never realized how icky Ron is in this book. Like, ew, this whole boys will be boys thing Joe has going on is not the vibe.
That is the vibe. You are right. It is that boys will be boys. That's like how she writes about everything. And then also it's like boys will be boys and girls are so annoying. It's literally that. Mm-hmm. Boys will be boys and oh my God, girls are so annoying. Like that's the vibe for all of this stuff. It's so dumb.
And finally, we have a comment from McAllister B8891 that says, wait, are you saying Ari isn't a natural redhead? I've been tricked and bamboozled.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm naturally blonde. If you scroll down on my Instagram, I mean, that's not my natural hair though either. I was like platinum blonde. But there might be during the pandemic, I like went back to my natural hair color for a little bit there. Mm-hmm. It's like just like a light blonde color. Yeah.
That's it. That's all we got. Thank you for leaving comments. We love hearing what you guys think. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and on Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you'll have to have a bizarre shoved down your throat, or you'll get splinched. Either one.
Oh yeah, either one. Did you guys ever figure out what was going on with the Spotify thing? Okay. Guys, we don't know what's going on with Spotify.
Let us know if Spotify's not working, but I don't know what we can do about it, to be honest.
One of you let me know, but we don't know like how we could fix it really. We're trying to figure it out. Well, Adam and RJ are very kindly trying to figure it out because I'm like, I don't know Spotify at all.
Maybe, I don't know if the person listening is maybe try like uninstalling and reinstalling the app because sometimes that could be it too. Mm-hmm. I know because we haven't had anyone else say anything, so I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know that he just switched to
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, but yeah, if you prefer Spotify, sorry, we don't know why. I'll try and see.
We don't know.
We don't know why that happened. I'm like trying to find where that message was.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HP Anxious or YouTube and TikTok at the Ampliverse. We are hosted on Spotify for podcasters, so thank you to them and our proud member of the Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Ari.
Thank you, Adam.
And as always, knock.